Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about Solomon Kane by Mythic Games. Okay, so I'm going to get right to it. This launched yesterday. I do apologize for not getting the video out the day of launch. That is always kind of hard sometimes because I do have a full-time job outside of YouTube. So if you're ever really interested in a Kickstarter and you are interested in my opinion, get with the developer if you can and let them know that I could really use a preview link to Kickstarter. They have those, they can hand them out if they so choose, and if I get them, I can actually record a day or two beforehand and then kind of set it to launch afterwards, the day of, while I'm at work. At my regular job. Doesn't always happen, but is super helpful, so I do apologize. That being said, the 24-hour bonus is still applicable. I'll get to that kind of towards the end of the video because I have to explain kind of everything else first, so let's get right to it. So Solomon Kane is a 1 to 4 player, fully co-op game taking place over a series of adventures that are based on the actual stories. Always a cool thing not to squander the IP. It's not just visual, it's story as well. Now, each adventure is made up of 1 to 5 acts, and each one of those is made up of 8 to 10 chapters. Now, that sounds really confusing, so let's just knock out the chapters entirely, really. What it really is a typical play session is around the length of a single act. Now, you might not get all that. They're kind of loose on how long each one takes. I imagine it differs, depending on just how good you are and the story element in that portion. Either way, there is a save function in the game, so it comes with, like, stuff to save the game mid-playthrough, so that's pretty cool. I like that. Now, a little bit about the gameplay. So, dice are the resource that is used, and you can do things like, assign them to your abilities, or save them, or give them to other players. To me, this seems kind of like a mix between Kingsburg and Stuffed Fables, which I like both those games, so that's kind of cool. And the AI is, of course, as always, card-driven. Now, the chapters themselves are pretty cool because they actually branch out depending on what happens, and then you guys can actually pick and decide what it is you're going to do, and do these discoveries, and a lot of that is kind of alternative ways to go through the story. So obviously the books were written with him doing certain choices, right? And in this case, you can make the opposite choice, see what happens. That's kind of cool. So let's get into the actual Kickstarter information here outside of the game. So it is $110 with $32 to the USA. Now that $32 shipping is assumed stretch goals included for weight, which is always helpful. It means they're not pitching 20 and it's going to be 40. It might still be 40, who knows, but 32 is a lot closer to that. So either way, it's a little bit more of a realistic number, so expect around that much. Now, starting out, with all the stretch goals unlocked as of filming this, which is the night before, there are 44 miniatures unlocked so far, and several components have already been upgraded to plastic. So they're doing the very typical, what we're used to, kind of, they unlock different game modes, a little bit on that in a bit, miniatures, and then component upgrades. So in other words, the Kickstarter version just becomes kind of this collector's edition almost, right, with premium qualities, and I imagine we're going to upgrade cardboard next and then add some fanciness to the game board with some UV stuff, or we'll see what goes on from there. But either way, I am happy. They already added a new virtue. Speaking of virtues, you don't play as Solomon Kane in this game, which I think is kind of cool. It kind of solves the Conan issue where everybody wants to be Conan, right? Instead, you're actually playing these different virtues that try and help Solomon Kane actually go through the missions, which is, I think, a very smart thing to do and very cool. And Solomon Kane's kind of a solo dude. If he can help it, then that's neat as well. Now, they've also unlocked some actual extra game additions like new tiles, these nightmare cards. They'll come with the rules and whatever those nightmare cards do. I'm sure we're going to get an update on that eventually. So that's all around very cool stretch goals. Definitely a campaign you're going to want to look at a lot. And just based off of what I've seen so far, I might actually need a follow-up video towards the end, which I will try to do kind of 48 hours beforehand to just kind of remind all of you guys in case you missed the email or something like that. Now, speaking of these miniatures, they say 35mm, as in that's the standard for a regular, adult human male kind of thing, right? That's 6 foot equals 35mm. But they have kids, they have these giant virtues, so it really ranges from 27mm to 90mm, just depending on the miniature. Now, there is no rulebook yet, though they say it's coming soon. That's good, it's coming soon. It better come soon because, and honestly, I don't even read them all. I typically just kind of, I'll peruse through it. A lot of times I feel, depending on how put together the rulebook is, speaks a lot to me about how I feel about how far along the game is. So if it looks super professional, you know, I'm not saying I judge it by its cover. I'm just saying I judge it by inside the cover without too much reading. Either way, rulebook will be out soon. It's not out yet, but they do kind of show the basic game mechanics, and I kind of explained that a little bit to you there. Now, this 24-hour bonus, I said I'd get back to that, so let's get to that. It's included for free in the 24 hours. It's essentially a kind of mini campaign. It's the Right Hand of Doom adventure. It includes 1 miniature and quite a few cards that support a single act made of 10 chapters. So it's not this huge overblown thing, which is good. However, the wording of it's a little weird because they have it as, well, it's like an add-on, but it's an early bird thing. I don't know if you'll be able to purchase this later. I imagine it'll be in the pledge manager, but it doesn't quite explicitly state that. Either way, you can always cancel later, so if you're interested, there will be a link in the description below to the Kickstarter, so go ahead and follow that. You can read up more, you can decide for yourself, you can put some money down to it, whatever you want to do. I get nothing from it. But I want to talk a little bit about these miniatures too, because I am quite impressed. So as you guys may know, Mythic and Monolith kind of separated a bit back. They were kind of partnering together. I don't think, it didn't seem to be like a really, you know, bad thing or anything like that. Though, if there was drama, I don't follow it anyway. Either way, they've done Joan of Arc now, and now they're doing this. And I must say, these look really good. The sculpt design is really good. The quality seems to be there, though I haven't really seen them in person. That being said, if they want to send me one, I'll take a look at it, let you guys know. What I will say from the design point, and really, so there's, you know, the kind of the villagers and all that stuff. I'm not going to get too into that. Let's talk about the main game pieces, or the ones you'll be playing, in which case is the virtues. Now, right here, I'm looking right now at courage, justice, temperance, and prudence. It's going to be on the screen here too, so I'm going to show you what I'm looking at here. And I really like the theme they're going for. Now, they color them all like this blue, black, green. I might actually, and I'm going to swap over to here, there's kind of a track of like strength and stuff like that, and there's different colors and have a picture of virtues next to it. I might actually theme the glow they're doing based off that if I were to get this and paint it, because I think that'd be a nice touch, change it up a little bit, not so much glowing blue stuff everywhere. But from a design perspective, you might notice they are all floating, which I think is kind of cool. It's those little things that I think are kind of nice. So the floatingness is nice. Now, they're not all looking the same. The two on the top, Courage and Justice, are looking kind of straight out. They are also both the ones with swords and weapons, so a little bit more battle ready perhaps, whereas the ones below do not have weapons that are out and are both looking down. Now, I see these kind of things, and maybe I'm overthinking it. I don't know, but I do always appreciate that. Only one of them's armored. The others all have bare feet. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I like it. It's fine. It just, these commonalities between them are always, I think, kind of cool and kind of neat. They're also all female, kind of ties into that. And then you even get kind of designs for it, right? So Temperance is like fully robed and just kind of flowing. Whereas, you know, you get Justice with the scale and kind of the sword, you know, kind of front and center at the ready. And it has both robes and armor. And then you have like Courage, which is helmet off, straight ahead looking, knee bent, ready for action, and kind of a, you know, I don't know, a spiritual way, I guess, kind of a floating there way, right? Either way, I'm quite impressed with this. And then, of course, you get the mold details, where the capes are very textured, which means once these kind of 3D renderings, which is what these are made into a sculpt, that still stays. It's not lost detail, right? If it was super fine detail, you would lose it. You can see a lot of that in kind of like the the ropes that Prudence has kind of around her right side. As we're looking at her, it's on the left side of her. Those kind of deep gouges are still going to show up in the final model if all goes well. So that's kind of good. I do like that. I think that's pretty smart. Anyway, I've kind of talked a little bit about the miniatures and my thoughts about that. They seem to be really good quality. They seem to actually have a good cohesive art design to them. The overall sculpt design is neat. It seems applicable to be able to paint fairly easily. There's not a whole lot of depth, which makes it hard, and a good amount of detail, but perhaps not too much, though Courage looks to be both amazing and frustrating. So anyway, guys, I have a favor to ask you. Go ahead and click that like button if you did make it to this point and you did enjoy the video. And if you did enjoy the video, why don't you subscribe? It actually helps the channel out a lot more than you think. It'll let you get notifications if you click that little bell icon to be notified of my future videos, like Day 1 Kickstarter launch videos or just upcoming previews. So later this week, I'm going to have another preview video for several other Kickstarters that are coming out this year that I'm looking forward to and that I will be covering. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.